Each month, Miller-Keystone Blood Center provides our donors with the opportunity to win wonderful gifts. This is our way of thanking you for your life-saving blood donation. Visit the promotions page on our website at giveapint.org to learn about our current and upcoming donor giveaways and promotions. The following episode contains content that some may consider sensitive in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Your Blood, Their Hope. I'm Krista from Miller-Keystone Blood Center, and I'm so excited to be here and to be talking with one of our special guests. Kristin began receiving blood and platelet transfusions when she was diagnosed with AML. And 5 years ago, Kristin actually got to meet some of the blood donors who donated blood that she received in the hospital. So welcome, Kristin, and thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
So when were you diagnosed with cancer?
I was diagnosed almost 12 years to the day today. Little bit of a backstory. My husband and I were on vacation in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, and I started feeling unwell and got progressively sicker, weak, shaky, shortness of breath. Ended up going to the emergency room in Punta Cana. They did blood work, and I kind of knew from the blood work results that something was off big time. And I'm also a breast cancer survivor. So when I got the blood work results, I called my oncologist who took care of me when I had breast cancer, and I read the results to him over the phone, and he said, "It sounds like you might have leukemia," because my white blood cell count was really, really high. My red blood cell count and platelets were dangerously low. And he said to me, "I would tell you to get on a plane right away and come home, but your platelet count is so low that you could hemorrhage on the plane with the altitude.
My goodness.
So you need to get a unit of packed red cells and a unit of platelets as soon as possible. Let me talk to the attending physician." So they talked. The doctor came back and said, "We need to get you some blood. We don't have it here. You're going to have to go to Santo Domingo to get the blood transfusion."
And how far away was that?
It's a 3-hour drive.
Okay.
So I was getting like progressively
Worse.
sicker. And
Yeah.
like looking back now, I honestly think that the staff at that first hospital are probably fortunate that I was sick because I was livid.
Like, I just want to go
What
home.
do you mean you don't have? Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the United States. It's not the Lehigh Valley. There is no Miller-Keystone Blood Center in Punta Cana. So took a crazy ride through the island to get to Santo Domingo, got admitted to the hospital in Santo Domingo. The blood still wasn't readily available. My husband had to go to the Red Cross to pick up the blood, and that was just the packed red cells. They gave it to him in a styrofoam to-go container, like you would get a sandwich in.
Oh, my goodness.
He came back with the
Think
blood.
about the FDA and SOPs that we have to follow. But, yeah.
I mean, I know it was from the Red Cross, so I know the blood was safe, but still that whole, like, it was bananas. So I'm laughing now, but it was really kind of horrific.
There. Yeah, I'm sure.
The platelets were another story, though. They didn't have platelets available. So my husband asked if he could try to donate. I guess they said his veins weren't strong enough, so he couldn't donate. Meanwhile, my family was on the phone with the embassy in Santo Domingo trying to figure out what they could do to help me. And from what I understand, like people who worked at the embassy, people who worked at the embassy actually came to the hospital and volunteered to donate platelets.
Oh my
People
goodness.
who worked at the resort where I was were calling their relatives in Santo Domingo. So while all of this is, there's just these army of angels that were working to get me just this one unit of platelets so I could get my platelets up to the point where it'd be safe for me to fly.
Absolutely.
So luckily, thank goodness that happened. And came home to the States, was admitted to St. Luke's right away. They did a bone marrow biopsy just to confirm, and I did indeed have leukemia. It was AML, acute myeloid leukemia. And over the course of the next several months, I had many, many, many rounds of chemo and got a lot of units of blood, like dozens of units of blood.
And platelets.
And
I
platelets.
think your count, when you had mentioned it in the video, was 52 units of blood and / platelets.
Right.
So,
and the thing that's so fantastic about Miller-Keystone is I never had to worry. Well, am I going to get my platelets today? What's going to happen? Am I going to get my blood? Like, it was always there.
yeah.
It was always there. And that is because chemotherapy really does a number on your body because it's designed to kill cancer cells, but it also kills good cells. And with AML, because it is a blood cancer that affects the white blood cells, they had to wipe out all of my white blood cells. And then I got replenished with, but it also wipes out red blood cells and platelets. So they kept giving me the red blood cells and platelets. And gradually after chemo, my white blood cell count would come back up again. Then I'd go back into the hospital and get another round, and it just went on and on and on. But I would need transfusions almost on a daily basis for weeks after I got chemo. I would go to the infusion center and get my blood work checked, and then they would let me know whether or not I needed.
And how many days a week did you do that? Or did you do it before your chemo or
after? Yeah. So I would, I would be in the hospital for a week and get the chemotherapy. I would oftentimes get transfusions while I was there, and then I would have to go every day to get blood work. And if I needed the units, then I would stay there and they would give me the units. And for the most part, I almost always needed the units. So, it got to be a running joke. I would sing that Billy Joel song, bottle of red, bottle of white. Let's see what I'm getting. Am I getting the platelets or am I getting the red blood cells or am I getting both? So
right.
It was a trip for sure.
And I think too, knowing that you had been a breast cancer survivor already and having had to put yourself through, did you get chemo for that or did you just do like radiation?
I had chemo for that. There is a strong possibility that it was the chemo that I got for the breast cancer that may have caused the mutation that caused the AML. But that with the breast cancer, I never had to have transfusions. It was either weekly or every other week outpatient. So whereas for leukemia, it's much more intense.
Right. And I'm just thinking like as a cancer survivor beforehand, knowing, okay, now I have to go through this after I was just on vacation, just, with my family or you were with your husband and all of these people did all of these wonderful things. How long was your treatment for the AML?
So I started treatment in March of 2012, and then I had my last round in September. And it took another, couple months before I could go back to work because when your white blood cell count is low like that, your immune system is not very strong at all. So I was working, but working from home. This was all pre-pandemic and everything. So I was working from home. That experience definitely helped me deal with the pandemic because if I went out shopping, I would have to wear a mask. I wouldn't touch anything. I had hand sanitizer with me at all times. Everything got wiped down with Clorox wipes at home. So, fast forward to 2020 when the pandemic happened, I was like, this is no big deal. Yeah, Been there, done this. it's fine. You know,
I'm okay with this. I can handle this. This is nothing for me. While all of the world was going, oh, what do we do? And the good thing is that we were open. You know, the Miller was still open during the pandemic every single day.
Mm-hmm.
It was changing. Our policies changed so much, but we were still able to provide all of the hospitals with the blood that they needed. So, and it was, I think, especially for that, when the Surgeon General came on and said the safe place that you can go to during the pandemic is your local blood center.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, was very helpful because at that point we had been really slowing down and, you know, needed people to come in and donate. And that was really one of the best ways to help out. Mm-hmm. And you could get out of your house and see some people, see some faces, see some smiling faces. And then in about 5 years ago, we had a celebration of hope where we got together to, I actually was not there, but I was just watching the video on YouTube. And you got to actually meet some of the people who donated.
Yes.
What was that experience like? And
It was fantastic because, you know, I don't know if people realize how critical these blood transfusions are. I think a lot, even for myself, I always thought, okay, Miller-Keystone, I donate blood. It's going to go to somebody who had surgery and needed to get blood, or maybe they were in an accident or an injury. Like the connection for people that are dealing with cancer, I never really made until I experienced it myself. Without those blood transfusions, I wouldn't have survived the chemotherapy. I wouldn't have survived the AML without the chemo, and I wouldn't have survived the chemo without the blood transfusion. So to be able to see these people who were just being nice people and doing their thing, you know, there were a lot of people there who were like multiple gallon donors. To be able to just look them in the eye and give them a hug and say thank you. And then it gave them the chance to connect with somebody who is still alive because of their generosity and donating blood. It was intense, but in a good way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just can't even imagine just the way that the blood donors felt to be able to meet you and to just see you up and walking and talking and being there and knowing that their blood actually, you know, went and saved somebody else's life.
Right. There's one gentleman there that actually I got 2 units of his blood.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of crazy. I also got to meet a woman who, she was one of my donors. And she also was a donor for a friend of hers who had some kind of blood disorder. So her friend also came to the event. I got to meet her as well. So it was kind of nice to connect with somebody else who also, I mean, she had something like a couple hundred.
Okay.
Yeah, like she had me beat big time as far as like, I'm a little competitive. I was like, oh, geez, 200? Okay, whatever. I'm a loser. But it was just so... It was so life-affirming, and it was also great for me to connect with these people and hear their stories. You know, some of them had very compelling stories as to why they became donors. They might have had a friend or a family member or a loved one who needed blood transfusions, and that's what inspired them to donate. So, it was great.
Well, I'm glad we were able to do that. And I think that's such an amazing opportunity. We're hopefully going to have a couple of them this year and next year to hopefully get together a recipient and donors, which is just, it's so amazing. What would you tell someone who might be scared of donating blood?
Buck up, buttercup. I mean, it's really not, I can't donate anymore, obviously, because of my health history, but it's a little pinch. You sit on a comfortable chair. You know, the people who work there, the phlebotomists, everybody, they're going to treat you like a rock star because that's what you are. That's what you doing that is so important and so helpful. You get cookies.
That's the best part.
You know, that's that was always a big motivator for me when I used to donate blood. You know, I'd be like, even look and see, like, what do they got today? Ooh, fudge stripes. Okay, cool. You know, but and it's something that it's easy even to schedule. You know, oftentimes they'll come out to, I don't know if you're doing that anymore post-pandemic, but they used to go like to workplaces and do that.
Yep.
You know, or you can make an appointment at your convenience. It's half hour of your day, maybe more if you're doing like plasma or something fancy, but it doesn't take a lot of time. The people are really nice, and you're going to be saving somebody's life.
Right.
Plain and simple. I'm not even trying to be a drama queen. You are going to be saving somebody's life.
Absolutely. And it's kind of interesting because we also do these things called Adopt-A Days, where people can come in and donate on behalf of someone else. And we have a personal connection with somebody right now who is going through chemo or who just finished chemo, Kristin. And they actually just did a blood in honor of her. She just finished her chemo, and we had a couple of people that came in and actually donated on her behalf. And so that's really cool.
Yeah.
And you know, I met Kristin actually at a book club, and that's how we met. And I was like, wait, you're the person that we did a Celebrate Hope for.
Right.
And, you know, made that connection because of Kristin and her book club. But being able to know, like, okay, you know, somebody else who was just diagnosed with, you know, cancer, and then to be able to support them and surround them. And I know Kristin didn't need any blood transfusions, thank goodness, but knowing that the blood was there and knowing that somebody was donating it for her also meant the whole world.
Yeah. My church actually did a blood drive in my honor.
Okay.
And you know, the van came, you know, right to our church, parked right in the parking lot, and a lot of people came and donated. People from the church as well as, you know, my family, my friends. So it's great to do something like that. If you want to honor somebody who is in the fight, it's a great thing to do. I thought it was fantastic when Kristin's friends got that going for her, because you really, you never know. You never know.
Exactly. And it's wonderful to just have that support from the community and being able to know that we serve 33 different hospitals in this area. And, you know, the blood actually comes from the community and it stays here. So, you know, when people are donating, they're helping what could be their neighbor. It could be their family. It could be their friends. It could be their coworkers. It could be anybody that they come in. And like you said, it's only... It takes about 10 minutes to donate fully, 45 minutes because you got to answer some questions.
Right.
But you get cookies and you get to sit there and probably talk to other people who have gone through this.
Right.
How has your life changed with Miller-Keystone, and how has Miller-Keystone changed your life?
It's really, it can be humbling when you know that you need something to survive, and that you're basically counting on an organization and the kindness of strangers to get you through something like a cancer diagnosis. It made me appreciate that much more those folks who donate, especially, like I said, the people who are like multiple gallons. And they and every, you know, every person that I got a chance to talk to at my event, they said, I want to feel like I'm making a difference. And that is the understatement of the year. You know, it's given me a newfound appreciation, especially for what I experienced when I was in the Dominican Republic, on how we really take for granted having a community blood center in our own backyard. I don't know what what do people do in a place where they don't have platelets readily available, for example? What about people who don't have people who just showed up at the emergency room to donate platelets for somebody? What happens there? It's really scary to think about. So it made me so grateful to be able to live somewhere where I didn't have to ask, beg, borrow, steal to get people. I didn't steal. My husband may have offered to pay some people money to donate platelets. However, I did not steal anything. But, that you take it for granted. And having that experience of needing blood when I'm in another country and then coming home, and that was, although there's a lot to worry about when you're going through treatment for cancer, the one thing I never had to worry about was whether or not I was going to be able to get the transfusions that I needed to get me through that treatment.
Yeah. And how is your life? What's going on now?
So I'm great. I'm probably actually healthier now than I was before my diagnosis because I started taking better care of myself. I work out now. I eat relatively healthy.
You gotta have those
right,
nut
exactly.
butters or
right,
something.
yeah, exactly.
Oreos.
Yeah, but I think that whole experience just taught me you can't take life for granted. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to any of us. I will always kind of have that specter over my head of a recurrence of some sort, although I'm considered cured. Generally speaking, once you have been in remission for 5 years, they consider you cured. But that experience really just taught me that you can't take life for granted. You can't take your health for granted. It's important for me, especially as I get older, to try to do everything I can to take good care of myself because there are some things that are obviously going to be out of our control. But by the same token, you can't just sit around and worry about, well, what if I get cancer again? What if I walk out of my house and a piece of space junk falls from the sky and knocks me down?
Right.
You can't live in worry and fear. You just have to live your life and make sure you let the people that you love, let them know that you love them, you appreciate them. Take advantage of everything that life has to offer. Eat the chocolate cake, buy the expensive hand cream, whatever, because this is all we have.
Absolutely. Share a friend, share a hug with a friend,
Yes. Yeah.
Spend that time.
And donate blood. If you can, donate blood.
Absolutely donate blood. Thank you so much. This is a fantastic way to just learn about how blood donors can save lives. And I really do think that you're an example of what this podcast is about. The topic of it is your blood, their hope. And when you donate blood, you're giving somebody hope for another day, being able to go through another treatment, being able to hug their family and friends. And so if you out there want to donate, as Kristin said, buck up, buttercup, come and donate blood. We have a new website. It is www.giveapint.org. It is very easy to go on there and schedule a donation. And then hopefully you can meet a person that maybe you donated blood and they received it. But we are just so thankful for our people who come out and that fact that we get to talk to you and learn about your story. And also just thank you for coming in and just sharing your story and encouraging people to come and donate blood. And if anybody, out there wants to donate under Kristin's name, they can just come up and say, hey, I heard it on the podcast and I'm donating in honor of Kristin. But be safe, be well, Thank you for listening to Your Blood, Their Hope.
Your Blood, Their Hope is a production of Miller-Keystone Blood Center. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The views expressed by hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the view of Miller-Keystone Blood Center or any of its officials. The theme music for Your Blood, Their Hope is YKWIM by Harris Heller. For more information, please reach out to us at giveapint.org or at 800-BA-DONOR. That is 800-223-6667.